How are the experiments going?
That makes 37 subjects infected directly. At the estimated rate of transmission, 150 subjects should be infected within 24 hours.
You're right. Something has gone wrong. It is having an effect on this race that we didn't predict. We have to abandon the experiment.
Elaborate?
The brain and nervous system are not adapting. Instead, there is a major synapse degradation happening. IQ is dropping by 83.7%. Activity thought process have stopped.
Can the effects be reversed?
Unlikely. This was unexpected. Nothing to cause. We should chance this possible outcome. We are unprepared for this. The only course of action is to abandon the project and cover up that we were ever here.
Research into the inhabitants of this planet shows a predilection towards conspiracy theories. They are likely to blame the government somehow for this outbreak. At the same time, anyone that suggests that it came from another planet will be dismissed. We are safe provided no more mistakes are made.
It's possible that at a later date, after more research, we can revisit the project and correct our errors, provide the test subject still alive. Alice's calculation shows that in 5 years and 7 months and 4 hours and 32 minutes and 6 seconds, the species will become intact without a cure.
5 years, 7 months.
4 hours, 32 minutes, and 6 seconds. There is a 10-second margin of error on either side of that calculation.
I see. Abandon the project. Pack up and leave no evidence of our presence. We have 5 years.
Dr. Alex Nigel, welcome. You are?
Dr. Julian Monroe. You requested somebody who specializes in paleoneurology and evolutionary neuroscience. That's a rather unique request.
They didn't tell you. You volunteered to come out here without knowing. Why?
I didn't actually volunteer. I pissed off the head of Lifeline Pharmaceuticals, and I was informed I was being transferred. I've never heard of a job transfer taking place under military escort before.
Lifeline Pharmaceuticals. You made design drugs, right?
Designer antipsychotics, specifically. You have to love how Big Pharma caters to the ultra-rich. At least it paid well.
So, paleoneurology, evolutionary neuroscience. And by the employment at Lifeline, I would guess neurochemistry? Interesting resume.
Are you going to tell me what I'm doing here? No one has seen fit to answer that question.
Welcome to what used to be Willow Creek, the only known zombie research facility out there. Your job is now to help find a cure for zombism.
I have drug samples with me. Are you sure you don't need anything?
I'm not crazy if that's what you're implying. This is real. You sure you didn't see anyone out of the ordinary on your way in?
You know the established protocol, ma'am. Travel only during non-peak activity hours. In and out as quick as possible. We got lucky today. No zombies were spotted.
I'm not sure if that should make me happy. Small numbers are always seen, even during non-peak activity hours. This could mean that their behavior is changing.
No, there's no way you can convince me that zombies are real. The word zombie dates back to the early 1800s to Haitian culture and the voodoo religion. The word zombie derives from the Congo words Nzambi, meaning God, Zumbi, meaning fetish. Zombies were introduced to Western culture in 1929 via a sensationalized book about voodoo cults in Haiti titled The Magic Island by W.B. Seabrook. The idea was taken by movie director Victor Halperin 9 years later for the Bela Lugosi movie White Zombie. Later, George Romero crossed them with vampires for Night of the Living Dead. And that is where the modern idea of zombies come from. They are a fabrication compiled from superstition and Hollywood fiction.
The only place that information is going to do you any good is if you get on a TV game show. But seeing how you are standing here talking to me, the chances of that will ever happen are very unlikely. Here's the Reader's Digest version of what happened. About 10 years ago they appeared, in the middle of tourist season no less. I had just graduated from university and was offered a job in research at the local hospital. When the infected started showing up, let's just say a hospital is the worst place to work during the zombie apocalypse, no one is prepared. Small and closed areas. Things went south very quickly. Willow Creek was closed off. No one was allowed on or off the island. A state of emergency was declared. We were put under martial law. There was a huge government cover-up and military intervention. And here we are. Current population of the island is about 527 individuals. About 75% are zombies. It's impossible to do an actual census, so that's really just an educated guess. Since there is no way for the zombies to leave the island and affect the rest of the world, the government and the military have turned the island into a giant zombie research facility. What we don't know is how or why this all started. Despite various environmental factors, the zombies continue to survive year after year.
Let's assume for a moment that I believe you. What if you can't find a cure? You say you have been at this for 10 years with no luck. What makes you think you will?
How long exactly have we been searching for a cure for cancer? You see, curing zombism isn't exactly the same thing. It's a bit more complex. It's like, how do I put this? It's like trying to find a cure for death. Yeah. However, I'm not quite willing to give up just yet. But to answer your question, if a cure can't be found, then a quick and effective elimination route is needed.
You are serious about this. What happens if I decide I don't want this job?
That's not up to me. I asked for a willing volunteer who had been apprised of this situation. Someone who wasn't concerned about being cut off from the rest of the world and knew that coming here could be a death sentence. You don't exactly fit that description.
I guess it's just our lucky day.
Welcome to the lab. You do not touch anything in here without rubber gloves. You never know what might be contaminated. If you leave the building grounds without our authorization, you will not be allowed back in. Do not open that.
What do you keep in there? Dead bodies?
Close enough. It's leading to the basement. In the past, we have kept research specimens down there. It's full of biological waste. If you go down there, I might have to kill you.
You can't be serious.
As a heart attack. What do you think happened to my last research partner?
You? How? I mean...
She was a bit... a mixture of sodium, thiopental, potassium, chloride, pancuronium, bromide and saline solution. It's the same combination of chemicals used in lethal injections and by Dr. Kevorkian. Remember him? It works quickly enough, and for reasons I don't yet understand, the pancurinium bromide prevents reanimation.
You expect me to believe there are zombies behind that door, and that your last research partner was infected, so you killed him?
Her. My last research partner was a woman. She was careless and got infected. Euthanasia was her choice. Not mine. Even if it wasn't, what was the alternative? As for the zombies, we needed lab rats.
So you just rounded up a number of these so-called zombies and ran tests on them?
Oh, I'm really sorry, Smarty Pants. There is no ethics board that oversees humane treatment in using zombies as test subjects. Plus, I can't exactly get them to sign release forms for agreeing to voluntary experimentation, can I? That would be really stupid. But hey, if I ever see a zombie using its brain, you'll be the first to know.
There goes my ride. Look, I'm having a hard time believing any of this.
Come here. Look.
The view is breathtaking. Wait, are those?
Zombies, yeah.
But you said this started 10 years ago. Shouldn't everyone on the island be infected?
Theoretically, yeah. But the human race is resilient. We are programmed for survival and can adapt easily enough to most environments, which apparently includes living among zombies. I'm actually surprised that about 25% of the population is still human, especially considering the zombie sympathizers.
Did you just say zombie sympathizers?
Two extremes came out of zombies in pop culture. There are the survivalists, who stock up on weapons and kill everything that moves. Then you have the zombies are people too group. They think reanimated dead is a synonym for disability and will occasionally protest outside the lab. They don't exactly condone the killing of zombies. You have your choice between taking your chances with the zombies or a lynch mob for defending yourself.
Dr. Nigel, I have the results of those last experiments you asked for.
Let's have a look. The military brings us supplies every other month or so. Food, toilet paper, you get the idea. If we run out of something, there is no going down to the local supermarket to get it. Use some common sense and don't waste anything. You hear me? Anything. Your survival depends on it.
Got it.
There's a small garden out there on the patio that we supplement things with, but still.
There are a number of people on the island that have taken up farming, but I'm not eating anything grown here.
It's not worth taking those chances. You know how when there is a major flood and some 300-year-old graveyard gets disturbed and the dead are no longer buried, and you're told not to drink the water just in case? Well, back in the early days, we had someone collecting the water and soil samples where we could check the levels of carbidine and protesting in each. Our results were inconclusive, and continuing the tests provide to be problematic for obvious reasons.
Initially, the island was declared a disaster area and was qualified for government funds. The military would make frequent visits with supplies. When the island was declared a loss, the funds stopped, and so did the supplies. Lucky for us, the government and some high-ranking military hotshot in charge of some top-secret lab somewhere took interest in what we were doing and turned the island into a personal research lab. It's like Jurassic Park for zombies here. We get the latest and greatest in military technology and state-of-the-art everything in exchange for our research. It scares me to think what they want with it.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Nice shirt. So, the government built this lab?
Yes and no. The building is actually Jennifer and Quentin's family vacation home.
We used to have yearly family reunions out here, but you can kind of guess what happened there. Offering up the house at the time seemed like the best thing we could do to help out. I do what I can to keep things from breaking down here, where everyone else does the important work.
In the beginning, we set up the lab downstairs with what we could salvage from the hospital. It was much later that the military started supplying us with food, equipment, and whatever else we needed in exchange for our research data. I kind of feel like we sold our souls for it.
I did what was necessary in order to get what we needed. You know this. It's a small price to pay. It's not like they were going to let us leave this godforsaken place.
So, how did this little lab come together anyway?
As I told you, I had been offered a job at the local hospital. It wasn't a big hospital, well-known research hospital, but it was one of the top neurology research hospitals. I had been there about 2 weeks when all hell broke loose. Chase worked in the neurology lab with me, and Rain worked down in the blood lab.
Jen and I were here on one of our yearly family vacations. We were actually sitting in the emergency room because I had just broken my wrist.
I'm actually a veterinarian.
A handful of infected people in the emergency room, what we thought was a corpse in the morgue, and the next thing you know, everything went to hell. Quentin offered up the house here to work as a makeshift clinic, as it were, since the hospital was in the middle of everything. We made a number of salvage runs for basic medical supplies. It didn't take long before we realized treating the injured was a bad idea and we were putting ourselves at risk. People were bringing their loved ones who had been infected for treatment. The thing was, there was no rhyme or reason as to how people were getting infected.
Hollywood would have you believe that you need to get bitten by a zombie. But what we were seeing wasn't that. People weren't always bitten. They may have gotten infected from an open wound. In some cases, it seemed like it was airborne, like the common cold. There was one instance we are sure was sexually transmitted.
My skin crawls thinking about that.
Curiosity got the best of us, so we decided to start researching it all in hopes of finding an answer and or a cure. And here we are.
El Dr. Julian Morris, investigador superior de LifeLink Pharmaceuticals, ha sido reportado como desaparecido. El Dr. Morris ha trabajado para LifeLink durante 10 años y tiene
Is that
acceso
the
a
news?
información privilegiada.
Why is it in Spanish?
CEO
We only
Alex
got one
Crawford
station.
lanzó
If you want to
comunicado
watch something, I
oficial esta
recommend
mañana
Cinero
asegurando a sus
Acero.
clientes de
Occasionally we
su
get really
privacidad
lucky
es
in
suma
the air,
importancia
Lucha
y se
Libre
están tomando
Wrestling.
todas
So
las
this
medidas
is what
para
hell is
garantizarla.
like.
Hay rumores de todo tipo, desde juego sucio al señor Morris siendo enviado a la isla zombie. Por el momento las autoridades no tienen pistas en el caso.
So tell me, what did you do to piss off Crawford anyways? It must have been huge.
I briefly dated his daughter. Had she told me she was Crawford's daughter up front, I would have run in the other direction as fast as I could. Let's just say that Daddy's spoiled little princess is used to getting everything she wants and doesn't handle no very well. She was pregnant when I broke things off with her. I didn't even know. Chances are it wasn't even mine, but that's irrelevant. About a week after we broke up, she showed up on Daddy's doorstep after one of her boy toys beat the crap out of her and told him I had knocked her up, broke up with her, and then beat her when she showed up to tell me she was pregnant. And here I am.
Truly sucks, man.
So, I was told you were looking for me.
I thought we could spend some time together. And don't worry, I was mindful of the rations rule.
The zombies really sets the mood. Don't you think?
It was the best I could do. It's not like we can have a picnic on a beach or anything. You have to admit, there's something about a zombie-infested paradise that's rather ironic. It's like nature said, here's one perfect place on the planet, but there's one catch.
You get used to them.
Speak for yourself. Even after 2 months, I still find this pretty weird.
And working for LifeLink wasn't. Pharmaceutical companies are a necessary evil at best, and here we're talking about designer drugs. It's a money-making scheme that targets the rich, makes being addicted to prescription drugs seem the cool thing to do. It both sensationalizes and romanticizes substances abuse. Why does one, especially with your background, go to work for such a company? I'm very interested to know.
Crawford needed new blood, and he was actively recruiting at the university 3 months before I graduated. He offered me a job upon graduation. I was naive and easily impressed. I was offered a rather large salary, a bonus for signing a 5-year employment contract, and one of the benefits offered to me was paying off my student loans, and I was up to my eyeballs in debt. After my contract expired, I stayed on because of the money.
Everyone has their price. Crawford found yours.
Something like that.
I wanted to talk about one of the drugs you were working on.
Nope, I had to sign a non-disclosure statement. Do you know what would happen to me if it came out that I revealed company secrets, even if it was in the name of ending this mess?
I think that the worst that could happen already has, so it doesn't matter.
You think? Let me paint you a picture. We cure this and leave the island. Seeing how I was sent here under the guise of a company transfer and agreed to work for you, thereby ending my employment with LifeLink, Crawford would assume, being a disgruntled employee, that I would divulge proprietary information and file a lawsuit in the amount of all my wages and benefits paid over to me over the course of my employment with LifeLink. Worst case scenario, he wins. Best case, it's held up in court for years, not only depleting my savings, but making me unemployable. It's a no-win situation.
Impressive. No matter what, Crawford owns you, even though he legally sentenced you to death by sending you here.
This isn't why I asked you out here.
Sorry to skip the morning pleasantry, but we have a problem.
What is this?
The last round of testing yielded some negative results. We seem to be going backwards. In the beginning, enzyme Z originally slowed the narcotizing factor by 3.27%. We have not been able to do anything to increase that. All potential catalysts have failed to slow it further. In fact, they have done the opposite.
I am well aware that LifeLink has their own designer version of statin. Current research shows that in high enough doses it may slow down brain atrophy. Julian, yes or no? Is there any possibility that it could bind with enzyme Z to slow the necrotizing factor more?
I honestly don't think so.
So help me. If I find out you are lying to me right now, I'll bash your head into the wall and feed you to the zombies. Got it?
I'm not!
Alec Crawford owns him. He'd rather become zombie bait than piss off Crawford, even standing in the middle of 400 zombies. Money talks.
What is wrong with you? You're grasping at straws. Just because something will slow brain atrophy doesn't mean it's your answer. You need to know what is causing the degradation. Demyelization is treated different than trauma. Are you fighting a bacteria, a virus, or worse yet, a genetic mutation? You wouldn't treat a headache with indigestion medication. You're a doctor, Alex. You know this. I shouldn't have to remind you. No one should.
Chase, you sure these numbers are right?
I ran them 3 times myself and we can't run them again. We're out of tissue sample and we both know there's no way to get more.
It was all for nothing. We are no closer to knowing what this is, what started it, or how to cure it. This was our last chance at finding a cure.
You and knew this was a possibility.
Should have stopped her.
It was her decision. Neither of us could have stopped her, and you knew.
Who?
Her previous research partner was her sister, Nicole. Got there on purpose, where we could get tissue samples at various points during the infection process. It was the only thing that we didn't have, and she chose to provide it. She wanted to solve this so badly, she sacrificed herself to give us what we needed. When the time came, it was Alex. You don't get it! Everyone here has sacrificed something and lost someone to this zombie plague. Everyone but you. You've lived here 2 months. We've been here 10 years.
I didn't know. She never told me.
Why would she? Is that something you would admit to?
Don't beat up yourself over it. You knew, we all knew, that it might come down to this. 10 years is long enough. Many would say it was too long.
But
Don't. We've been over this at least 12 times. We may not agree with it, but it was her choice to make. Neither of us could have stopped her. You knew that.
it's all my fault. And it's me to blame. I got my hopes up. I shouldn't have. And some Z was looking promising, and I really thought that Julian would have something. Anything that could help us. Christ, he worked for the biggest and shadiest drug company out there. I was so sure they had something.
What is this really about? Is it about Nicole or is it about Julius? And the fact that you have feelings for someone with a more permissivist mortal base that you aren't used to and don't necessarily agree with.
Quit playing armchair psychologist before I shut you up.
We've all forgotten what life is like out there. We all have our problems that start every morning with looking death in the face. He's a project of his own environment, as much as we are. Don't fault him for that.
I said shut up.
I'll drop it, but think about it. Do you want me to send off the message that there is nothing else we can do?
No, I'll do it. And Chase, thanks. We all knew this day might come. I've spent a deal of time on this, since we needed to have a plan in case everything went south. This is it.
How are weird-looking seeds supposed to help us?
You and your rooftop garden gave me the idea. Only this plant is completely man-made. Remember, 15 years or so back when the trend was designer plants and the botanist. What was his name? Ned Whalen? He created that weird Venice flytrap sort of plant that looked like a cow. Laganaphilus simonovori. Everyone thought it was the craziest thing. Anyway, the plant is our answer.
The cow plants are going to save us.
It is. We've actually been working on this for a while. I've made some genetic alterations with Chase's help. The plant now releases an odor a pheromone sort of thing, that attracts zombies to it. The plant eats the zombies and is provided with nutrients. The decomposing state of the zombie acts as fertilizer. Since it's being digested by the plant, we don't have to worry about reanimation, and the plant is immune to zombism. There is no fear of the decomposing bodies further contaminating the island. The plant deals with everything through its digestive process, which turns zombie killing into an environmental circle of life thing.
How are these plants getting planted across the island?
About that, we're going to have to plant them.
How did I know that there was going to be a but to this plan?
There is no way to deal with the threat that doesn't involve some sort of risk. That risk is minimized if we do this over the course of a few days during non-peak activity hours.
We're going to have to monitor their growth to ensure that things stay on course. We can't just put them out there and hope for the best.
We still have the data from the early days, when we tracked and recorded the zombie behavior. I'll start analyzing that and find out the best spots to put plants. Let's hope that data is still mostly relevant.
Since being a new guy around here, Julian voted most likely to become zombie bait. Would someone please fill him in on proper safe field protocol?
We're seeking salvation, nothing but the nation left for you if you choose the wrong direction. It's a brand new feeling, sacrificial healing, like a U-turn out of the blue. Was it strong enough to face it? No one standing by your side. I feel so lonely I could cry. Never say die. Leave me alone in the night. Keep me away from the light. The razor blade cuts the light. Never say die. Are you escaping the dreaming? A life without meaning, left for you if you choose the wrong addiction. Let me tell you a story without a place of glory. The darkest days are through. Once it takes my love, you'll make it. No one standing by your side. I feel so lonely I could cry. Never say die. Leave me alone in the night. Keep me away from the light. The razor blade cuts the light. Never say die. Leave me alone in the night. Never say die. Never say die. Leave me alone in the night. Keep me away from the light. The razor blade cuts the light. Never say die. By your side, I feel so lonely I can cry. But you took my heart tonight. Never say die.
are things out there.
By our estimations, the zombie population is down by 83%.
We do have another problem, though.